Welcome back. As some Canadians are affected by new capital gains taxes and the new rate charged on capital gains, a new survey shows that more than half of Canadians are not aware of capital gains and how they are paid on properties upon death. For more on the results and perspective on this, we're joined by Erin Bury, Chief Executive Officer of Willful. That's an online service that allows Canadians to create legal estate planning documents such as their will. Erin, thanks a lot for joining us. This has been a big talking point for a long time now, but what does your survey show?
Thanks, Paul, for having me. Well, the survey of over 3,000 Canadians showed that most people really don't know how we pay taxes on properties or any other assets when we pass away. It showed that the majority of people think that you pay capital gains at the time the person passes away. When in reality, when I inherit something, there's no inheritance tax in Canada. By the time it gets to me as the beneficiary, the taxes have already been paid. And this can have major implications if it's something like a cottage or an investment that has capital gains owing on it. It means the estate pays that, not the beneficiary.
And is there a way, what kind of planning can families do if they're in the position of having, let's say, a family cottage purchased by a parent many, many years ago?
Well, I think many of us were having these conversations this spring. I own a secondary property myself, and I restructured it a few years ago to make sure it was a joint property between myself and my husband, so that if I passed away, it would automatically transfer to him instead of my estate having to come up with those taxes, which can often force the sale of an asset to cover those tax bills. So I think a lot of families this spring were looking at those alternatives, like passing it down as a gift while alive, joint ownership of assets so that it automatically transfers, even setting up trusts. And as we saw this spring, there was a rush to sell cottages before these new rules came into effect. But now they're here, we could see that as people pass away, those implications are going to be seen on those final tax bills.
Is it possible to designate a recreational property, a cottage, for instance, as your primary residence if the owner of the cottage is, let's say, has moved into a seniors facility and is renting apartment style a space in a seniors facility? Can you legitimately and legally and honestly declare the cottage property to be a primary residence?
That's a great question. I don't know about in that nuance when someone is staying in a seniors facility, but I do know that as long as you're living in the property as your principal residence, then you wouldn't owe capital gains on it for the period that you live in it. So for example, if you have a cottage and you lived there for 3 years, you wouldn't have to pay capital gains for that period of time, only when it was used as a secondary property. So we are seeing as well folks that are moving into those types of properties full time, and that's okay. Your principal residence is never going to incur capital gains. So for example, if you pass down a principal residence in your will to a beneficiary, there's no capital gains owing on that, both at the time you pass away or, when the person receives it.
Does all of this apply in equal measure to investment portfolios of stocks and bonds?
Exactly. So any asset that would have capital gains owing on it, really the day that you pass away, those assets are deemed to have been sold on the date of your death, which I don't think a lot of people realize. So even if you pass them on to a beneficiary who doesn't want to sell them, for example, they receive a cottage and they want to keep it in the family, the estate still has to pay capital gains on those assets because in the eyes of the government, they've been sold the date that you passed away. So that's why it's first really important to have a will and appropriate planning documents that say where you want those assets to go, who you want them to go to, but also to understand how they'll be taxed and to make sure that your estate can cover those taxes. For example, I've heard of families taking out life insurance policies, and the proceeds of those policies would actually go towards paying the gains on any investments or cottages so that their family members aren't scrambling to come up with that money themselves.
And how does a life insurance policy work when you're buying it on somebody who's very elderly? Let's say somebody who's 85 plus. That person will pass away, perhaps in not very many years. What, for instance, might the pricing be like on a life insurance policy in that circumstance?
Definitely prohibitive if you're buying it for someone a lot older. We're seeing this actually in the kind of younger demographic. So folks in their 40s and 50s taking out life insurance policies when the premiums are a bit more affordable, and the goal being the proceeds of that policy would actually cover that. For many who are passing on property, often they're assuming that their heirs may have to sell or liquidate that property in order to pay off the mortgage or to pay any capital gains, or both, because the mortgage sadly doesn't disappear when you pass away. It stays with the property. Most debts are paid by the estate. The mortgage typically stays with the property. And so often, if you're inheriting a property, you might be planning to sell it anyways because you may not be able to take on the mortgage, property taxes, and maintenance costs. So it's certainly a consideration in addition to paying any capital gains that are due.
And to circle back to your recent survey, the results suggest that people need to become more informed on this.
Absolutely. I mean, my husband and I started Willful because we had a family member pass away, and we saw how few conversations happen around the dinner table about end-of-life planning. And so whether it's about your will, power of attorney documents, funeral and burial wishes, or yes, capital gains, these may not be fun topics, but they're so important, especially for folks like me who have young children, who have parents that are aging, and we know that we're going to be the executor for folks' estates.
Thank you very much, Erin, for this